something. Right now, the center is giving out tickets to the Waka Flocka concert tomorrow night at the Riverside Municipal Auditorium. This stop for free, nothing.
Oh my god.
Is there
Wait, for free?
Yeah, they're free. We have a stack of them on the front desk.
Why did I buy one today?
That's good.
Wait, I think some people have some question. Can you repeat that again?
Completely free Waka Flocka tickets to a concert tomorrow night at the Riverside Municipal Auditorium. You can pick them up in the LGBT Resource Center, Child Student Programs, African Student Programs, Student Veteran Services, Resource Center. I passed out a whole bunch of these already.
Wow, I have a bag.
Are there any other questions? No.
Wait, is this
Yes,
a new
that's
thing?
cool.
Do y'all just buy tickets?
Oh, the LGBT Resource Center has a relationship with the Riverside Municipal Auditorium, so we give away a lot of free tickets. We recently gave away the big basket tickets. We have another set coming up, so stay tuned to our Twitter and Instagram at ASUCR LGBTRC. We give away a lot of fun things every year, so just stay tuned, y'all.
Thank you. Any other questions? No? Thank you so much once again. Any other ex officios at this time? If not, we will move on to our next item of the agenda, which is public forum. At this time, if you would like to address the Senate as well as the Executive Cabinet, this is your time to do so. We would love to hear from any students who have something to let us know.
It's me again. Sorry. Not sorry, actually. So my name is Julia Schimmer, and I'm a second-year public policy student here at UCR. A few weeks ago, myself and two student leaders from UCLA had the opportunity to present our work for gun violence prevention in the West Wing of the White House. And while I thought speaking 30 steps away from President Obama was the peak of my existence, it's not. Because our work to end gun violence and campus safety doesn't stop when we get to speak to people that are already working on the issue. So our next steps for this project is really building a coalition across California focused on campus safety and gun violence prevention. We have clubs at UCR ranging from the Disney Club to DJ Club, but there are no clubs on gun violence prevention, which historically young people have said that is one of the biggest issues facing their generation. So if any of you all are interested in working on this issue and what it's going to look like, during week 10 I've also been working to create over 20 different events remembering the year-long remembrance of San Bernardino. If you all are interested in getting involved with that, I don't turn anyone down. I would use anyone that is willing and passionate about this issue. So if you're interested, let me know. I'm accessible via social media or email or literally anything, so let me know. Thank you.
Are there any questions? No? Thank you so much, Julia. And congratulations on meeting President Obama. Anyone else for public forum? If not, we will move on to the next item on our agenda, which is committee reports. We will begin with the Outreach Committee. The Senate will discuss and take action on the Outreach Report. Outreach Director Can, take it away.
So on last Friday we had our outreach hearing for the fall quarter. If you would like to see like a physical copy of the report, it's somewhere in the back of this packet. But basically for rollover funding we had about $28,509, and from the state we had $39,525, and from summer adjustments that which was $6,064. We have about $61,969.80 to allocate, which means that we were put in tier 3 in terms of allocations, which means that we could fund up to $10,000 for a student organization event for one event, but for the entire year for the organization, $18,000. So that was really cool. We definitely tried to be more generous this year in terms of the allocation. So leading up to the organizations and their events, we chose the allocations based off of ASUCR policy. So for instance, if there were any cuts we kind of drew the line, especially like for parking. We do not fund parking permits, dancers, entertainment, etc. There had to be a fine line for that, so it was just to be fair. Secondly, we wanted to make sure that we checked back from records from years before to see how much the org spent on the same event, just to also see how much they actually needed, and then, but we did try to give more than that than they actually used, as well as more than what was allocated last year. So, I'm going to say how much each board received from this hearing. Padera was first. We allocated $3,000 on a vote of 501. Second up was PSA. We allocated $3,375 on a vote of 501. Katipunan, we allocated $3,770 on a vote of 501. SHIP, we allocated $1,513 on a vote of 501. And Raza Assembly, we allocated $5,000 on a vote of 501. And Metra, we allocated $3,000 on a vote of 501. Does anybody have any questions for me in terms of how the allocations were chosen or in general?
Yes, Senator Hall?
Can you also apply for funding in the future of this quarter? Or
Well, I discussed it with Maggie. She said we should most likely hold up until winter quarter for the next hearing. But in the meantime, I have been in the works with Jerry, I forgot his last name, from Student Life, and we are holding workshops for outreach directors that are interested in the process of getting more funds. So yeah, it depends. It really depends on if like there's a lot of student organizations that need to hold another hearing. But as of now, I'm just planning for winter quarter for the next hearing. But if I do get a lot of response from student organizations, I will like try to plan one for this quarter if that's what they want.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, would you like to do the honors of making the motion?
Sure. Okay, so all in favor of moving?
You make a motion, so I move to allocate how X amount.
Oh, okay. Okay, so how does it, sorry?
You can say I move to allocate $61,969.80 for total funds to allocate. No, total funds to allocated? Yeah. Oh my gosh, sorry. So $19,658. Yes.
Sorry. As far as like funding and applying for funding, is there a stable price that you can get as an organization to apply for funding for an event, or how does that process work? How do you attribute how much you give to your club?
Well, first they have to go through the ASUCR outreach application, which goes step by step of where their money is being allocated to. So they'll have like a budget of priorities in which they want. Usually what we do is fund like, the top 3 priorities for sure, which usually goes to food, t-shirts, etc. But there are some slashes that we have to take down because we can't if we spend everything fall quarter, but we won't have enough for winter and spring, which is usually when a lot of the organizations apply. So we do want to be conservative during fall quarter so that we have a lot left over for winter and spring. But yeah, so that's basically the process of how we choose the funding depending on what their priorities are, how much they're going to use for each priority, depending on how many students there are. We take into consideration the entire application. That's a lot of different features. So it's all based off of the application. Does that make sense?
Also, can you reapply for funds next quarter if you got funds this quarter?
Yes,
So you
definitely.
can apply for funds every single quarter.
Yes, if you haven't reached your maximum.
What's
So
the maximum?
the maximum for this year is $10,000 per event and $18,000 per organization. And if the organization
any objections? If not, we will proceed. Okay. There's one objection, but are there any other objections?
Is there anything else you can say?
Well,
I also object. I retract my motion.
okay. Would another senator like to make a motion to extend time?
I move to vote on this resolution. You just approve this outreach.
You would like to make a motion to approve the allocations made by the outreach committee of X amount. Go.
Oh, damn. I don't even know what you said.
Okay.
Sorry.
Would you like to practice?
Yes,
This is
I'm
your time
practicing.
too, Senator Cole.
Absolutely.
Take it away.
So I'd like to make a motion or move to approve the outreach committee report that was actually just presented on.
Of the amount, approve the allocations of,
Of the allocations of $19,658.
thank you. So the motion on the table is to approve the allocations made by the outreach committee of $19,658. Can I get a second?
Approve the dollar.
Seconded by Senator Moore. Okay, because this is regarding funds, we have to do an actual vote. So are there any discussion or questions at this time? No. We'll move into a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All opposed? Is that any abstentions? Nope, with a vote of 13-0-0, outreach committee report allocations approved. Congratulations. Moving on to the next item of the agenda is the legislative review committee report. President Pro Tempore Lee.
I move to amend the agenda by moving item D ahead of the legislative review committee report.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Is there any questions? Yes. Are there any objections? No? If not, we will proceed. GCAP committee report. The senator will discuss and take action on the GCAP report. Take it away, GCAP director.
I move to approve the GCAP grant of $3,700 for IEEE solar car project.
A motion on the table is to approve the allocations of the GCAP report of $3,700 for IEEE. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Senator Cole. Are there any questions, discussion at this time? No? If not, we'll move on to a vote. All in favor? All opposed? Any abstentions? With a vote of 12-0-1, congratulations, GCAP. Your allocations are approved.
I move to rescind a prior GCAP grant of $1,000 for the hydration station.
Okay.
Don't
Do
worry,
you remember-
love the camera.
Do you remember where that came from? Like which meeting we did that in?
That was, yeah, that was the first meeting. Everybody voted in favor.
I believe if you are rescinding, it has to be a member that voted yes has to rescind.
Oh, yeah, right.
So if there's a member of the Senate who voted yes for the hydration station of the allocation of $1,000, you could rescind it at this time.
No, you didn't abstain. You abstained during.
Yes, Senator Young.
I move to rescind
Yes. The allocation.
the allocation for $1,000 for the GCAP water bottle thing.
Hydration station. Thank you so much. Thank you. Seconded by Senator Vaughn. Okay. Is there any questions or discussion? I have one. Why?
It'll be brought back to the table after this motion is voted on to amend the grant for, instead of $1,000, $4,000. And then Senator Arneal Lebon will discuss why the grant boost is happening.
Got it. Okay. Thank you so much. The motion on the table is to rescind the motion that was made in prior meeting of $1,000 allocation for the GCAP grant regarding hydration stations. There is a second. We will now move this into a vote. All in favor? All opposed? Is that a opposition? Any abstain? With a vote of 13-0-0, the motion is rescinded.
I move to bring back to the table the GCAP grant of $1,000 for the hydration stations for the purposes of amending it from $1,000 to $4,000.
Sorry, $1,000 to $4,000?
Yes.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Moved by Senator Cole. Are there any questions at this moment in time? Discussion. Yes, Senator Limon.
Okay, so when I made the grant, I had an estimate from the fiscal plan, but the estimate only included the would cost and like the rewire everything, but then I got a second estimate, and this time they included water, and it's a lot more expensive than what I previously got, so I'm gonna need more money. So like I said in the last meeting, the cost of the hydration station at the hotel is around $90,000. So if I get $4,000, I'd be bumped up to like $8,200, which is hopefully enough money because from what I understand, fiscal plan tends to overestimate how much things cost. So, but that's pretty much it.
I had a question too. If it's an overestimate, will they be giving the money back to
Yes.
Yes, okay. And would someone from the Senate like to give up their time for a member of the rally? Yes, Senator Moore, yes. Polly.
I just had a quick question. Was this approved by the committee? Is it in the minutes
Yes.
of the committee? Okay, because I didn't see that in the packet. Just want to make sure.
Okay, are there any other questions? No? There is a motion on the table was it to talk about, to amend?
Yeah, to amend the grant to $4,000, and then I'll move to approve it after.
Okay, so all in favor of the amendment of the allocation from $1,000 to $4,000 of the hydration station? All in favor? All in favor? All opposed? Any abstentions? 13-0-0, motion passes.
I move to approve the GCAP grant of $4,000 for the hydration station.
Can I get a second?
A second.
Thank you. Senator Cole. Are there any questions? Discussion? Nope, we will move this into a vote. All in favor of allocating the GCAP grant of $4,000 to hydration station? All opposed? Any abstentions? With a vote of 13-0-0, motion passes. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, it will be Legislative Review Committee, beginning with the Senate Resolution F-16001, resolution in support of the passage of Proposition 55 to avert the tuition hike. Moving on to Senator B. I also want to give a quick reminder, if there is someone that is speaking on the horseshoe, please respect their time by not talking to other people or having side conversations. Thank you.
Since the primary author for Senate Resolution is currently in the chamber, I would like to yield my time to Julia Schimmer.
Hi everyone. So how many of you remember the historic tuition agreement between the governor and the UC president, which resulted in our tuition being flat for 2 years? Anyone remember that? And all the protests and all the excitement that happened. Well, I'm really sorry to break it to you all, but that is actually ending. A result of the way in which we were able to bring forth our tuition freeze was largely in part of Proposition 30, which allowed for our tuition to stay frozen for 2 years. However, those funds expire in 2018. And so the reasoning behind this resolution is an extension of Prop 30, called Prop 55, which would allow for the funds to stay until 2030, I believe. And so that allows us to continue to have affordable education, which was mandated in the California Master Plan, and really making the return back to an affordable, accessible, and quality education. And so when the tuition hikes happened in 2014, I wasn't a student here, but I saw pictures of people protesting, getting mad, getting engaged, and now with tuition hikes on the rise, I go to every Regents meeting and I've heard these conversations being had, and it feels like there's no movement on our campus yet. And so this is a way of showing public support for this and showing that we're not going to stand
the next item, Senate Resolution F16002, resolution in demand of transparent and consistent updates in regards to Riverside Master Plan and statistics involving family student housing. We will move this along to John Lee.
Since the primary author is also in the chamber, I'd like to yield my time to Senator Cortez.
Thank you. Senator Cortez, any others?
So, I'm gonna read it. So, a resolution demanding transparent and consistent updates in regards to the UC Riverside Master Plan and statistics involving family student housing. So, whereas on May 17, 2016, UCR Capital Asset Strategies Office has released the university's strategic plan, UCR 2020, the path to preeminence. Whereas the UC Riverside Master Plan states that the North District opportunity sites are envisioned to replace the existing Canyon Crest housing with the potential for at least additional 3,700 residential students in mid-rise apartment style housing. Whereas on May 31st, 2016, Senior Director Bob in Contract and Outreach Services released a public letter informing family housing residents of the planned phase down of residential operations at Canyon Crest Family Student Housing, which is set to close in summer of 2017. Whereas the public letter regarding the future for family housing posted by Senior Director Bob Brumbaugh in Contract and Outreach Services on May 31st, 2016 is no longer contains accurate information regarding the discount rate. Whereas the closure will culminate in the eventual demolition and redevelopment of the current family housing site. Whereas the current residents that are in good standing who expect to graduate and or move out of Canyon Crest Family Student Housing by July 14, 2017 will experience no change to their respective family housing status and no need for them to take further action at this time. Whereas the current residents that are in good standing who will continue to be eligible for and need family style housing beyond July 14, 2017 will be guaranteed apartment style housing at the Oban student apartment communities if desired. Whereas apartments at Oban will be offered to current Canyon Crest residents at a discount rate which would escalate 2 years until it meets the market rate in year 3. Sorry, that's on the map. Whereas in response to the relocation / demolishing of the family housing sites, Vice Chancellor of Auxiliary Services Andy Plumley created the Family Housing Transitional Committee.
30 seconds.
Whereas the Family Housing Transitional Committee consists of students who currently reside in the family housing locations. Whereas the Family Housing Transitional
Yes, Senator Javier.
I motion to extend time by 2 minutes.
You move to extend time by 2 minutes. Can I get a second?
May I make a recommendation? You don't have to, I would recommend just reading the resolves and then perhaps explaining this resolution. Then we don't have to go through.
Alright, yeah, okay.
Perfect. There is still a motion on the table, so second by Senator Nkosi. Any objections? If not, you can proceed.
Alright, there's 2 more right. So, whereas the Family Housing Transitional Committee meetings do not include students from outside the family housing demographic, whereas the Family Housing Transitional Committee meeting times and meeting minutes are not made public. Therefore, let it be resolved that the Senate demands Vice Chancellor of Auxiliary Services Andy Plumley to provide transparent and bi-monthly updates in regards to the master plan and housing statistics for Canyon Crest family student housing locations and facilities to the entire student body of UC Riverside. Let it be further resolved that the Senate demands the student body representative from ASUCR to be at attendance in every family housing transitional committee meeting and relay that information discussed in those meetings back to the Senate and general public. Let it further be resolved that the Senate encourages the Highlander KUCR to broadcast these updates to the entire student body. Let it finally be resolved that the Senate advocates for student parents and ensures administration provides transparent and consistent updates to the entire student body of UC Riverside by collaborating with Housing Services, the Highlander KUCR. So pretty much, I met with Andy Plumley and he created the Family Housing Transitional Committee in response to the demolition of the family housing sites. And originally, the letter that they posted on the housing website said that the family housing students who are moving to Oban would get a discount rate, which would escalate over 2 years until it reached market price. And after meeting with him, he told me that that's completely outdated. That pretty much what he did is with the Family Housing Transitional Committee, they came up with a price in which they thought that the family housing student demographic will be able to So like a single father with children or a married couple and whatnot. And pretty much, well,
Time.
I move to extend that by 2 minutes.
There is a motion to extend time by 2 minutes. Can I get a second? Seconded by Senator Young. Are there any objections? If not, you may proceed.
so, and then also this committee, it wasn't like really made public to the students at all because I didn't know about the committee until I personally spoke with them myself. So pretty much this is, we're advocating for a representative from ASUCR to sit on that committee and relay information that's discussed in those meetings back to the Senate and hopefully back to the student body. So a lot more of the students know what's happening with the family housing situation.
Would you like to do the honors and make the motion?
Yeah, I move to vote on resolution.
We are voting, so I'm going to approve.
I move to approve this resolution.
The motion on the table is approved. Senate Resolution S16002. Resolution in demand of transparent and consistent updates in regards to Riverside Master Plan and statistics on family student housing. Can I get a second, please? Seconded by Senator Nkosi. Are there any discussions or questions? Yes, Senator Cole.
In your resolve, it says any companies giving updates or updates monthly to ASUCR. Is he coming to the meeting?
No, so pretty much, the senator that would be sitting on there would relay that information from monthly to years. But I can talk to him more, this is just like, I guess an initial step, like there's a lot more that I want to do with it, but I still have to meet with him to discuss those things, because everything discussed on here, he was fine with when we met.
Also, I'm gonna have to assume that you're gonna be the senator that goes to these meetings.
Yeah,
So are you gonna provide updates at Senate each week or every month or do you get a report?
yeah, the meeting times are a little bit like sporadic, they're not like, they don't meet every single week, to my understanding, but we're gonna talk more about that. Well, I'm gonna talk more about that.
Thank you. Vice President of Campus Internal Affairs.
I'd like to give my time to Moon Gallup.
Hi, sorry, just a comment, or question. So the demolition of family housing disproportionately affects graduate students, who are more likely to have families. So I'm just wondering if you reached out to, GSA at all, or any graduate students, because, like at the end of the day, it's like your vote, so my opinion doesn't really matter, but, or will wait. But like, I just would feel very shaky on making a resolution without consulting major communities that are being affected by the resolution. I don't know.
Yes.
Oh yeah, well, so this resolution, so this is just like the initial step, so this is pretty much just mandating that someone from ASUCR sits on those committees. And then, after this, I was planning on communicating with GSA and then also Fundly, because, like I said, this isn't like the end all for the whole situation. There's still a lot more that I want to do with it, and I want to work with GSA on this because I believe that the both of us working together will only bring better things. And in regards to that, yeah, graduate students do make up more of the family housing population. I believe it's 75-25 or 60-40. I'm not exactly sure off the numbers in my head. But yeah, I plan on contacting them and hope they're on board. But yeah, this is just the beginning.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Yes, Senator. President Pro Tem Roby.
Yeah. Is that line that you want to strike?
No, I just read the wrong one.
I mean, that whereas.
Yeah.
Promise for all one.
The one regarding the discount rate.
Yes.
Yeah.
You want to strike it?
Yeah. I would like that one.
There is already a motion on the table.
I suspend that motion.
You
Withdraw that motion. Retract. that
Thank you.
motion.
And your new motion is?
I move to strike the whereas regarding the discount rate. It is the fourth whereas.
Perfect. Thank you. Can I get a second, please? Thank you. Are there any questions, discussion? No? All in favor? All opposed? Any abstention? There was a senator who did not vote, so once again, all in favor? All opposed? Any abstentions? Nope, with a vote of 12-0-0, motion passes, that line is striked out. Would you like to make the motion?
I move to approve Senate Resolution S16002.
Perfect. Can I get a second? Seconded by Senator Menace. Are there any questions and discussion at this time? Nope, we'll move this into a vote.
Women in Business, 750 approved. KSA, 12 approved. Human Resource Management, 825 approved. Highlander Financial Group, 825 approved. Engineers Without Borders, 1098 approved. United Community Service Group, 908 approved. Our Kids Grant, 1500 approved. Society of Women Engineers, it was this order was tabled for some questionable line items, but they have been contacted again, they'll be presenting the following week. American Institute of Chemical Engineers, 133 approved. Mom Student Association, 133 approved. Biomedical Engineering Society, 100 approved. For a total allocation of 9,130. Do you guys have any issues or questions regarding the allocations? Then I'd like to motion to approve the total allocation of 9,130 for the finance hearing of October 25th, 2016.
We would like to move, and can I please get a second? Yes, seconded by Senator Highlander. Are there any questions? No? We'll move this into a vote. All in favor? All opposed? Any abstentions? With a vote of 12-0-0, motion passes. Congratulations, Finance Committee. We will move on to the COE report. At this time, with the State of the Association, it's a combination of all the different, of the two branches, executive cabinet as well as the legislative branch here. So with senator-wise, there will be one senator representing for the whole college. For BCOE, we have the pleasure of hearing from Senator Levon. So if you would like to let the galley know what you all have been up to.
Hi guys, hi y'all. So thank you for approving my amended GCAP grant from $1,000 to $4,000. I was stuck because I didn't have enough money, but now I can move forward with the project, which is to build a hydration station at the bell tower. So I have to contact this plan again and then let them know that I have enough money now. So my next project after that is from the dean. She said that she's concerned that students don't have enough study space or reader space for BCOE students because of the major reconstruction of BCOE, the college. So what me and GCAP are planning to do is install more solar panel tables around in that area between Warren's and the bookstore. So that'll be my next project. Me and Marty looked at a couple solar panel tables this week. Another thing that me and GCAP are doing is we're going to continue advertising to our BCOE orgs for the projects. Like we said earlier, IEEE just was awarded a grant for the electric car. AP has plans to apply for a grant also. And then I think that's about it. And I think that is my
Thank you so much. Are there any questions? We will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is Executive Cabinet Report, starting off with President Corinne. I have his report with me. He was unable to join us tonight, but he has sent in his president address. So this is on behalf of Shafi Corinne, who's our president. Hello, everyone. As I mentioned during Senate and ECAB meetings, I will not be able to attend tonight's State of the Association meeting due to my meeting with UCOP, which is University of California Office of the President in Oakland. I want to update you all so you can be in the loop regarding my meeting with UCOP. I addressed the following issues with UCOP. Number one, advocating and lobbying the state to fund the UC to extend the tuition freeze, especially if Proposition 55 is to pass, which means state has more revenue for education, specifically funds for the UC to avert the tuition hike. I will be following up regarding this topic with the UCOP government relations to have joint lobbying efforts to get more funding from the state to the UC system. Further details will come. Number two, regarding UCPD body cams and their general policy and guideline, I, along with the Council of Presidents and UCSA, will have a teleconference with the head of UCPD and UCOP Student Affairs to consult them for statewide policy. For UCR, I will be looking into implementing Student Advisory Review Committee for UCPD. Previous student leaders try to implement this program before. I encourage senators to look for the updates with this, or maybe pick up from the process and implement it this year. Number three, I also discussed about our reporting structure with UCOP. They have already received my letter to the Chancellor and are informed about this topic prior to our meeting. They didn't make a stance regarding this yet, and I will be following up with the UCOP legal counsel while they are in the UC Regents lawyer. If the Chancellor is overstepping, we can get UCOP on our side. We will explain in further detail once I'm back in Riverside. Thank you so much. Are there any questions? Perfect. Moving on to the Executive Vice President, which is me. Hello everyone, just before we start, some housekeeping rules. Number one, just to make sure you all know, no food or drink is allowed on the Senate horseshoe. Water is allowed, but please make sure to put it on the floor next to you. So just housekeeping rule. This is very expensive equipment and we definitely do not want to break anything up here. Number two, be respectful and professional at all times once you're sitting up here. Remember that you are representing the campus as a whole, so be respectful and of your peers, but also be professional when you're up here. Number three, Julia has created an agenda request form. Therefore, if you have anything that you would like to present during new business, you can go online to the agenda request form and fill out that Google form. And once it is approved, my staff will be emailing you back to let you know what time you will be coming in to present, date and time. Moving on to my report. So in the past 3 weeks, I guess, I've been doing senator one-on-ones, but I've been meeting up with all the senators. If you have not made an appointment with me, I advise you to do so. I know there's still a couple people here and there that I had to reschedule with, but we've been talking about projects, what projects they have in mind, what projects they would like to work on, what projects they have already worked on. We've also talked about soft deadlines, hard deadlines to see if it's a short-term project or if it's a long-term project. I know the senators have already begun discussing with each other as well as with presenting during their Senate report about these projects, so I will not go into detail with them. We've also been talking about legislation. I've been working with President Pro Tempore Lee for him to create sort of a workshop for the senators, but also at the campus at large for those that would like to write legislation but don't know how or don't really understand what it is, for him to sort of create a workshop to teach and educate students on that. Of course, the last question I've sort of been asking and wondering is what they would like to see from the executive cabinet and from the directors. So a lot of them have been telling me a lot of different things, which once I am done with Senator one-on-ones, I will be reporting to the executive cabinet during our executive cabinet meetings, which is Friday at 3 p.m. Moving on to the next item, outreaching to students. So something that I proposed to the senators, I talked to BCOE and some CNAS about this, but it's sort of like meet the BCOE, CNAS, or CHAS senators, in which you all go out and table with each other and you sort of start proposing questions. Maybe you can have, let's say, dum-dums, and so for every student that comes up, they can get one and they have to ask a question. So you have a whiteboard. The questions you can propose is, if CNAS just received a grant of X amount of money, where would you like to see that money go to? Advising system, I'm having a lot of troubles, how about you? So different questions like that to really start engaging in a conversation with the students to ensure that as senators sitting up here, you all are representing the student needs and wants. Next item, first year fellows. I have I've met up with the Office of the President's Chief of Staff, Will, and we have discussed the first year fellows applications. I will be sending out with my staff the interview list to I believe around 10 interviews of the first year fellows that we will be having, and our staff will be holding the interviews along with me, and we shall be having first year fellows hopefully by the end of next week. And of course for committees, just to update everyone, I sit on 3 committees. I sit on the Student Services Fee Advisory Committee. This will be my 3rd year sitting on that committee. We basically delegate money to the different departments on campus, so we have begun meeting as of today. Sadly, I had class, so I wasn't able to attend, but we will be changing up the meetings for that. The next one is the Student Health Advisory Committee. I serve as the undergraduate representative for UC SHIP. UC SHIP is the insurance that we will be utilizing this year. So I will be attending and I'm traveling to different conferences throughout the next year to really discuss how UC SHIP benefits, how this insurance benefits our students, what issues and what we like to see more from the insurance plan, and just to discuss student health on campus, mental, physical, social, religious, spiritual, etc. Moving on to the next one, I also sit on the Our Leaders Committee. We basically plan a conference called Our Leaders. It's a leadership conference, it's empowerment, we talk about communication. There's a lot of different forms of leadership skills that will be brought onto this conference that will engage campus leaders at ASUCR to really step out of their zone, to learn more about how to be a more effective, better leader, and to really stand up and try to get more involved with the different organizations on campus. Definitely would love to invite you all once more information is given out, and once we have sent out the invitations to the campus, I will be formally inviting the senators as well as the rest of the executive cabinet and directors to come. I sit in this committee along with President Corinne. Other than that, I have nothing further.
that's something I talked about with Lori already. We're probably gonna move to make the, or one of the ideas we were discussing, and it's still up for debate, but making the Senate offices, like cleaning it up and making it for senators mostly, because a lot of the senators don't even sit in the cubicles. So we have a lot of outside people coming in who have no attachment to the place, but they leave it messy because, you know, they don't like really, I mean, you know what I mean? So they leave it messy, and then the senators come to that, so they don't want to even use the desk. So there's only one desk that senators.
Thank you, Senator Young.
I have next time.
Wow. Thank you. Can I get a second? Thank you.
Thank you so
Are there
much.
any objections? Nope. You've made this.
I appreciate that. So in the upcoming weeks, that's something I want to be working on in the office, not really as a project, but just something on the side. Just clean it up, bring it up to shape, maybe move a few things around. There's file cabinets there that we could use, and maybe look into fixing some of the computers because not all of them work. So just making it more comfortable to work in, and kind of setting a rule that, you know, this office space is mostly for senators, and just having maybe like one desk designated for people to come in and work with senators and stuff. So
Thank you so much,
thank you
Senator
for bringing
Ira.
that up, Marty, and then
Thank you, Senator Ira. Just a quick reminder, I do apologize for bringing that up, but the Senate chambers, as well as the ASUCR office, those spaces are meant to be kept clean. So please pick up after yourself. If you eat, please throw away your trash. If you have paper, anything that belongs to you, please take it, push in your chair. Oftentimes, the Senate Secretary and I have to clean up after you all, and that is not our job. So please do keep this space clean, as well as the office. Executive Cabinet and as well as Senator Ira have started to discuss about it. We will be going further detail, maybe changing things up, and adding more things that could be a collaborative environment. So I'm definitely very excited for that. Any other questions? Yes, Senator Cole.
You brought up a project or a plan concerning student coming to talk to us.
Yes.
Is it they ask us a question or we ask them a question?
So what it is, what I propose to BCOE and CNAS is that you have a whiteboard and you have a question already on there. So one of them, like I said, could be advising. I'm having trouble with advising. How about you? Stuff like that. This was actually an idea that I've learned from UC San Diego. The AS there does it, and it's very effective, where they sort of do baked goods. They come out and they just talk to students. They propose questions. They don't really do the whiteboard, but I thought that would be a cool idea. It's sort of hard to engage with students when you don't have any questions involved, when you just be like, okay, well, what do you want me to do? So what I thought is we could start a different question. So for CHAS, maybe one of the things is language, you know, for your language, the 3/4 language, I believe. I'm not sure how it is, sorry, I'm CNAS. But, you know, proposing a question on that. BCOE, I know you all receive a lot of grants, but not a lot of grants actually go to the organization, so maybe a question about that. CNAS, our advising system, you know, we have tons of different projects, research, maybe those are questions that we want to ask students, and sort of locate ourselves in highly populated places with the most college students from there. So BCOE would be Borns, CNAS, Pierce, you know, the different labs, CHAS, CED, Watkins, etc. So those are type of different places to engage in these conversations.
Definitely. I'm working on a very similar project called Chalk the Walk. We're using artwork to kind of talk to students about like what we're doing in ASUCR, so what we plan to do. So maybe we can collaborate on that.
I would love to. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Any other questions? Nope. Moving on to Vice President of Campus Internal Affairs.
All right, so as you all know, the Food Truck Festival is tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. A little saddened by